Let's bring in Washington Examiner investigative reporter Gabe Kaminsky. Gabe, thank you for coming on. So instead of endorsing his fellow South Carolinian, he decides he's going to go for, talking about Tim Scott, he's going to go for the former President Trump. Ron DeSantis thinks this is a hit for Nikki Haley. What do you think, Gabe?
Well, look, I think it's certainly interesting that Tim Scott endorsed former President Donald Trump after, in October of last year, saying that he thought the former president was unelectable. But certainly, look, this certainly represents the extent that Donald Trump has a commanding lead in the Republican presidential primary. And I think lawmakers like Senator Ted Cruz or Tim Scott are making a calculation that in a potential Trump administration, they certainly would want to be in the good graces of the person that could possibly win over those who are significantly behind.
Yeah, you talk about that significant lead, Gabe. I want to put this up. This is the very latest Boston Globe Suffolk poll. You can see the numbers here. Trump at 52%. That is up 2 points from just yesterday. You can kind of see the momentum going that way. Nikki Haley, meantime, yesterday at 36, today at 35. What do you make? You've got kind of momentum going in different directions here.
Well, look, we saw this pretty clear with the Iowa caucuses. I mean, the former president won within like 30 minutes. This race has really not been close the whole time, and we'll see what happens in New Hampshire on Tuesday. But I think that, Trump is a pretty sizable lead.
Yeah, and those numbers, I'm just very quickly asking the question here because you kind of go down the list of how long this thing goes. Those numbers for Nikki Haley, good enough for her to keep going on? If those numbers, I mean, Ron DeSantis he's not even campaigning there. Good enough at 35 or she pulls 33, good enough for her to say, okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, look, I'll leave that up to the political strategists to kind of decide when they think people should leave or enter the race. But certainly it's going to be really interesting to see what happens after New Hampshire and whether DeSantis and Haley decide to stay in the race.
Speaking of leaving or entering the race, the New York Post says, quote here, don't be shocked if Michelle Obama sneaks her way into the 2024 race. Could she, Gabe? Would she?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't learned of any information about that. But look, I'll tell you this. President Joe Biden is a historically unpopular president. I mean, he's been polling with an approval rating of 40% or under. Two out of three Democrats recently said in a poll that they thought that the current president should not run again. So, I mean, I can't speak to whether Michelle Obama is going to enter the race, but certainly she's more popular than President Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's interesting. Gabe Kaminsky, thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.